Welcome to Wake Up and Make Up. I'm your girl, Christine Kuria. Today's episode, we are joined with two lovely ladies who are willing to share their traumatic story. I hope that this show inspires you, and remember that you are not alone in this. We're talking about a very emotional and sensitive topic today. It's about child sexual abuse and how it can be able to trigger emotional trauma. I'm joined by Kat, who is a sex therapist, and Kate, who has been through a traumatic ordeal, and I'd love you to hear her story. Trust you me, if you have children, you need to learn from her today. Thank you so much for coming, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate.
Oh, you know, I think I had to brace myself for this conversation that we're having.
It was when I was very young, and I was 10 years old.
Wow.
I remember my mother had sent me to go and buy paraffin at a petrol station. So the distance between our home to the petrol station was quite a distance. As I was walking, a car came and it just stopped. So when it stopped, and there's this elderly man, almost 60 years old,
Wow.
because he was huge. He had gray hair. He was almost like my grandfather. So he asked me, where are you going? And I told him, I've been sent to go buy paraffin. So he requested if at all he will give me a lift. And because when we were growing up, we had been told that we should trust elderly people, we should respect them. And so, in my mind, nothing came up.
True, I mean, you're only 10.
Yes. So, I boarded the car, and we went down, and when I reached the petrol station, he was kind enough. He let me alight the car, and I went and I bought paraffin. So, after I bought the paraffin, on my way back home, the same gentleman comes. So he stopped the car again, and he told me, I want to give you a lift back home. And you see now, when he gave me the lift the very, very first time, so he had already won my trust. So innocently, I boarded the car again. And he started the journey. We used to live along Hong Road. So he drove, and when we reached the swerve to the showground, I just saw him turn toward the showground. And I remember that the showground was very, very bad.
It was notorious.
Yeah, there were a lot of killings, a lot of murder happening in the ground, daytime robbery and theft. So when I saw him turn, I got so curious now.
Did you ask?
Yes, I did. I remember telling him, let me alight here because I know my mother is waiting for me.
True.
And he told me, no, let's just go. There's a person I'm going to pick at the showground, so it will not take long. But inside me, my instinct told me, you know, I felt that this is not it. So I requested him to drop me, and he told me, just give me a few minutes. We just go pick this guy, and I'll just drop you home. And I remember trying to struggle, and he locked the doors.
Oh, so you also tried to struggle?
Yes, because now, inside me, I had this feeling that where we are headed,
it's not good.
Yeah, it's not safe. And it was around 5 in the evening. So he drove the car. Now he became violent. He drove the car now. He had some weapons in the car. He had rungos, he had a knife, he had a panga, and so he brandished them. So now, as a young kid, my fears melted, and now I had to cooperate.
So what happened after that now?
So now, afterwards now, I remember I became so numb, and the pain was too much. And because he forced his way, and I was a young girl, the pain was too much. I remember I was bleeding throughout. Then once he was through with the act, he left me deep in the forest. He just left me and my paraffin.
Did he say anything to you when that was happening?
Nothing.
What was going through your mind during that time?
A lot of pain, and I started blaming myself there and then, because my mother had told me, never board somebody's car, never, you know, like he told me, when you go somewhere, don't get in a person's car that you don't know. So at that particular time, I knew that I was to blame for the act that happened. So when he left me deep in the forest, I hate embarrassment when I was a little girl. So I stayed in the forest until some minutes to 7 p.m. And I walked home because I was so bloody, I was so messed up. So I just stood, went home. Now, the best thing is that where we used to stay, we used to keep water in the basins outside. So just went home quickly, then just wiped myself quickly with water. Then I entered the house. So my mother was furious and she asked me, why did you take so long? And now my fear was, if I tell her the truth now, she will end up killing me. So I decided not to speak the truth. I decided to lie. And
before you continue, did you have any like siblings or just someone that you felt safe enough to immediately tell them?
I never opened up to anyone. Never opened up to anyone. So now when my mother asked me, and I told her, now I had to lie. And I told her when I went to the petrol station, I found that they didn't have paraffin. So I was waiting for the tanker to drain the paraffin, so that is why I've taken long.
You had an immediate lie.
Yes.
That was so genuine to believe.
Yes, because now I was fearing the repercussions.
But now, would you say that your mother was very strict? Did she used to punish you so much that you felt that if I say this, now she's just going to punish me?
Not quite. The reason why I never opened up to her is because she had already warned me. So I realized, because now all the blame, I was saying that all the blame was on my side, because she had already warned me, don't do this, and I did. So for me to cover up is not to open up. That is why I never opened up to anyone. So I stayed like that, never went to hospital, never shared with anyone, and from then I developed a very low self-esteem.
True.
I hated myself so passionately that anything negative that will happen, I used to say that I deserve it. I remember I just bought a mirror just the other day. I never used to even look myself in the mirror. Nothing. No makeups, nothing. Because I didn't want to see the resemblance of me, because I didn't want to see this face.
Kat, where do we start? Because there's so many things to dissect out of this story, and there's so many women, even men, who are out there and they've been through such an ordeal, even who have gone through it just yesterday, and they're not able to tell anyone, the same way that she said, you know, she was afraid of the repercussions.
Yeah.
Do you find that a lot?
And it's really common, and that's the sad thing with this particular experience.
True.
It's traumatizing. And you know, it takes me back to when you were talking about trust.
Yeah.
And trusting, you know, we are raised to trust our elders.
It's true.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So when your mom gave you a specific instruction, do not enter strangers' cars, it almost shut you down completely, where you were no longer comfortable coming back and expressing and telling your mom, like, look, this happened to me.
Exactly, because I'm just imagining the relationship that I have with my mother. And I feel like at that time, at that age, she would have been probably the first one I would have run to crying. Mom, this just happened to me now. What do we do? You know? And it's unfortunate. I've had other people's stories where they've gone and told their parents, and their parents have actually blamed them. And so they withdraw.
And it's either, I mean, that's one of the scenarios where they blame you, and that's actually an aspect of victimology. And I don't mean to reduce the experience by calling you a victim. I personally feel that anybody who has gone through sexual abuse and, you know, is moving on every single day trying to make a life for themselves is a warrior, in my view. And And that's an aspect of victimology where you're blamed for being in a situation, you're blamed for being in a specific place, you're blamed for not following an instruction, when really any one of us in this room is subject to sexual abuse. And that's the scariest statistic.
True. You could tell us, did you ever reveal to her in the future?
No. My parents died when I was in high school.
Wow.
And I never opened up to them.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Even no, Kat, you have to just take it from there, because I think as a professional, what would you say to her?
They say telling your story up to 3 times really helps with the healing process.
Yeah.
It is not your fault.
It's not.
None of this is your fault. We are all susceptible to experiencing trauma through sexual abuse, and that is one of the reasons why it's not your fault. The fear, like what Christine was saying, in terms of you completely feeling as if, okay, what's more scary here? Telling my mom, or or what I just went through. And sometimes when you are able to talk to a parent about it, they don't talk back to you about it, or they don't ask you how you feel. They don't ask you, do you need to see somebody? They then go after the perpetrator.
True.
So if it's
the
a
first
worker,
instincts.
then they fire the worker, and then everything goes mute.
Have you ever tried to go to where your mom was buried and just speak it out there?
No, I've not done that. I opened up in 2014 after, I think, 23 or 24 years later, after the action. And I remember we had a church conference. And as usual, I came up, one of my friends was facilitating, facilitating one of the afternoons. So I remember it was on a Thursday. No, it was on a Friday, and I told her that on Saturday, when you're doing the facilitation, I'll give a testimony. So when I went home, I started questioning myself. So what testimony will I give?
True.
And because I'm gifted, I do sing. I said, at the end of it all, I'll sing.
Yeah.
I remember when I went to bed, and there's this urge that came, and it was so pressing me that I want you to go and share what you went through.
Wow.
And I remember arguing and battling it out.
That is a battle of the mind.
And crying it out. And I said, God, I can't do this. I've never shared with anybody, including my own husband. I've never opened up to him.
Oh my goodness.
So how do I even go and just open up in church? And this is a conference whereby we have ladies from all over.
Of course.
And it was a tough night for me. So I took my phone, called my friend, she's called Clarice, and I told her there's something that God is impressing me to share. And she told me that if it's God,
do it.
Go and share. You know, when I was calling her, I was expecting her to comfort me and tell me, don't
do it. Yeah.
But you see, she pushed me and she told me, go share. So I didn't have peace the whole night. And that day, I saw the night like it was flying, you know. And soon it was in the morning. And I took a shower. Then I was passing by Clarice's house just to go pick her up so that we walk together in church. And when I was walking and I got into her house, one of our friends called Paris came. And so Paris came in the morning and she started saying, you know, there's something that we go through and we don't go through so that we keep them for ourselves.
True.
We go through so that we encourage others.
True.
And in my mind, I'm going like, God, no, not again. And I remember looking at Clarice with very sharp eyes. Did you share? And she told me, Kate, don't look at me like that. Paris does not even know you called me at night. So we left and we went to church. So when we went to church, morning session was okay. But if you ask me what went on in the morning session,
You don't even know.
I cannot even recall.
You were having battles in
I
your
was
mind.
crying, you
Yeah.
know, and I'm asking God, do I really have to do this? And when the afternoon came and Clarice called me, and she said that you only have 1 minute. I remembered that I whispered into her ear and I told her that I'll sing a song. And she told me no. You know, now she went loud.
Yeah.
And she told me, Kate, whatever God told you to share
Share it.
now. I gathered up courage. I didn't know where to start. But somehow I started. And when I started opening up, the room went silent. All I could hear was and tears, and you know, it was
Because
the room was-
probably a lot of women could relate. You said the statistics is 1 out of
1 in 4
1 in 4
for women.
Yeah. So you're not alone. Yeah.
The moment that I opened up, I felt like a big load was taken from me.
True.
I felt lighter. Then I was prayed for, and I went home. No, before I went home, immediately the service was over in the evening. I remember many ladies came, and I could not believe it.
Yeah.
They were telling me, Kate, my boss raped me. Kate, my father. Kate, my uncle. And in the process now, I said, God, I had to go through this. I come open up so that other ladies can open up. And I just went home, not knowing what to do, not knowing what to say, because now here are people who are looking now up to you again. They want you now
To be their strength.
to take them through the journey, and
Exactly.
yet you yourself,
you're still
you've not
going.
even,
Yeah.
because it was my first time. But within, because I do high school ministry, and one thing that, you know, I didn't see the good out of the act then. But now because I do high school ministry, I'm able to relate with multiple of girls who are going through the same thing. Because when I stand, now I was so embarrassed to share my story,
Yeah.
but nowadays I open up.
Exactly.
Because when I open up, they're able to relate and see she has been through there,
So I can
so
also.
I can relate with her.
Thank you, Kate, for sharing your story. But before we listen to the next story, I decided to take the ladies down to the ice skating rink so that we can just relax and just have some downtime. As you can see, I'm trying to balance the act right now.
I know, but
Coach.
it's slippery. It's so slippery. I know.
I know, so I'm able to tell me, you guys are the only ones in East Africa doing this.
Of course.
Yeah?
Of course. Okay, my name is Coach Emmanuel.
Yes,
I'm
Coach.
here as the instructor. We are the only ice skaters in Central East Africa. We teach kids from age group from around age 4 till adults. We are like we got the basics lessons.
Yeah.
We have ice hockey lessons. So when you come over here, feel free. You're at home. Yeah, everything will be taught over here.
And you know, it's amazing that it's my first time to actually do this.
Sorry. It's okay.
It's my first time to do this right now, and I am so nervous. So what are the tips that you can give me?
Okay, for the first timers, in skating, always the bending is the position.
Bending.
Yeah.
Yes.
Make sure you're bending. Then you put your legs in a V.
In a V shape?
Yeah. For the first timers.
Yes.
Always bend your knees. Your legs should be V-shaped.
Okay, wait. V shape?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Bend.
Then you bend. You can hold your knees.
You can hold your knees?
Then you stamp your legs and walk to gain the balance.
Okay.
In skating, you have to have the balance first.
True.
Yeah.
You need the
So,
balance.
Exactly. So you balance, make sure you bend, legs V-shape, then you stamp your legs.
Okay.
For the first timers.
Yeah.
After that, you're good to roll.
And so anyone can do this?
Anyone can do this as long as from age 4 till adults. Even
Okay.
if you're old enough, you can do this.
Okay,
Yeah.
so the ladies and I are going to try and attempt to do this. Are you going to walk us through?
Yes, of course.
Yeah?
I'm here as an instructor. I'll help you guys. Everything will be okay.
Yeah,
Don't
true.
be scared. Yeah, I'll get you guys.
Yeah, guys, don't be scared.
So
I mean,
ladies,
it's very
gentlemen,
easy.
feel free. You can come here and start rolling with us.
Yeah.
It's so fun inside here.
Yeah,
Yes.
and the temperature, you have to keep it very cold in here.
Yeah, it's so cold, you know,
Yeah.
because of the ice. But now, once you get inside here, you start sweating. Because skating, the first thing, is a workout. Skating is a workout.
Yes.
So over here, you have to sweat. You
Yes.
have to sweat. Yeah, so
true.
feel free.
I'm already sweating.
I know,
because I'm worried that I don't fall.
You can't fall down. Once you bend and your legs are V-shaped, you can never fall down.
Kate's strength and resilience is so inspiring. I wanted to celebrate her by enhancing her image and giving her more reasons to smile.
This is to encourage you, ladies, that no matter what you go through, the ups and the downs, you just need to hold on, be strong, don't give up, don't doubt, don't blame yourself, but always press on, because whatever you go through, you don't go through it for your own. The lesson that you learn, it is a lesson to others, and it will encourage others. And I want to leave you by the story of the oyster, because an oyster produces a very expensive jewelry which is known as pearl, and this pearl is not found and is not gotten in the easy way. A grain of sand gets inside the shell of an oyster, and it causes irritation, and through that irritation the oyster releases a fluid, and the grain, which seems like it is a pain to the oyster does not. The oyster makes this pain, and it makes this grain just to come out like a very beautiful pearl, which majority of us ladies always aspire to get. Be strong, work hard, and continue pressing on, because life is a lesson that we all need to go through. I'll take this opportunity to thank Wake Up and Makeup crew for having me, for giving me the opportunity and the chance to be an inspiration, to speak out to a lady, to a mother out there. I believe that I've talked to someone, I believe that I've encouraged someone, I believe that I've done what I was supposed to do, and this is my purpose. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. God bless you.
The next story is about grief. We look at the different steps that one needs to take to come out stronger on the other side. We're talking about emotional trauma. I am joined with Jane, and she's a counselor. She's going to be helping us unravel how can you be able to get over grief and live your best life. And I'm joined by Maggie, who's going to be telling us her story of grief and how she's managed to overcome it. Thank you, ladies, for coming.
Thank you.
Now, Maggie, I think we should start with you,
Yes.
because before the counselor steps in and tells us about the steps, let's hear your story.
My name is Margaret Wambugu, and my story is just like any other story of any other human. You know, grief is so common.
True.
Because again, death is inevitable. So you find that everybody at some point in their life, they have encountered it. We lost a sister. Her name was Jemima,
sorry
a
about
very,
that.
very wonderful, warm lady.
Just like you, the way she's coming from that lineage.
Yes. If you think I'm something, you should have met her. She was hospitable. She was the kind of person who, like the way we came in here, she would spot something that needs to be done and she would do it.
Wow, that's
she would not
amazing.
ask. And because we got the same church with her, we could see even the way she gave herself. And many people came to love her because she was just a giver. She was a person to go to.
Yeah.
You see those people whom you don't think twice when you are going to approach them, because they are so welcoming and they are so willing. She had a weakness, and her weakness was that she didn't know how to say no.
That was like her ministry of just giving and
think,
giving
yes,
and giving.
I think it was. And for some time she became sick. She became sick, and at first we thought it was very bad cancer. When she became sick, because she went to hospital, she went through surgery and a lot of stuff. But the amazing thing with her is that even when she was so sick, you couldn't tell, because she would push herself to the limits. She would still do her duties, she would still go to church, she would still do anything that she was responsible for. And you see, this is the kind of person you don't expect that can just leave you.
True.
So it was so unexpected. We couldn't believe it.
Maggie, before we continue, Jane, you just heard how that's just one of the steps I'm sure we have picked up from there, is that kind of like still trying to attach yourself to that memory through a way of calling. Is it part of the process of healing?
Death and losing loved ones, it is not an easy thing. We may lose objects or items, but losing those people who are attached to us or we are attached to can be very overwhelming. And especially depending on the attachment of that person, how you return to that person, or what the position that this person owned in the family. Like in the case of Maggie, we hear that independent of this person a lot, and she was like a young lady, a strong person.
True.
But so to speak, even for the people who are sick or expectant to one day they will die,
yes,
it does not really sink to our conscience that we believe it will ever happen.
True.
We'll always have a bit of comfort feeling that there is time and she may not go, a miracle might work.
True.
But finally, when the death strikes in, it affects all, whether there's somebody has been sick, or whether it is sickness that is just that has happened abruptly, the experience is just the same.
True.
So when this thing happens, people undergoes some cycle, a kind of a cycle.
True.
And that was before people didn't know it was a cycle like. But from the area of psychology, they came up to know that there is a cycle that people go through when people are affected by the loss.
Okay, and what cycle is that?
Yeah, it means that each and every other day we wake up in the morning, from morning to evening, doing our normal daily activities. And at that time, everything is normal. But when a loved one passes on, it is like the one has been overturned down.
True.
So the person that you are kind of changes the whole system, the emotions, the thinking, that is cognition, and all that. There are 5 stages, actually, to speak.
Okay.
The first one is shock, which means people experience like numbness in the whole system. It is like the whole body has been shut down.
True.
And it is a good step, because it charts the feelings, because at that time there are many fronts of feeling that are coming in. So that numbness and shock for a time, not feeling yourself as if you are numb completely, not maybe speaking, you are just there.
True.
And then from shock, the body moves to what we call anger. And now the body starts feeling, yes, it is something has happened.
Are you relating to what she's talking about?
Yes.
Yes. Because it's something that I could say I'm also relating, because in looking back to one of the deaths that really hit my life was losing my very close friend, was my grandmother, and losing my son, my firstborn son. And I know what you're talking about. It felt like the world stopped, and everything is just going in slow motion. You know, that pain is so much that, you know, a mother is not supposed to bury her child, you know. So I definitely relate to what you're saying. you get a state of shock.
Yes.
Where everything has stopped. And then the next is anger.
Yeah.
But one thing I said I won't ask God why. Because even if he gives you the answer, I find what would it have changed?
Mm-hmm.
Did you ask why?
Yeah, I definitely did. I did ask why. And yeah, because firstly we were so shocked, like she said, because we were at the hospital actually when it happened. We had just seen her over lunch hour, and when we saw her, she was doing so bad, and I could tell things were not so good. And I called my family, and we held hands. We prayed, and
yeah, you pray that
we
time
prayed
like
so
never
hard.
before.
And yeah, and they would tell me, you pray, you're the anointed one of the family. So yeah, I prayed fervently. And actually I believed, I have prayed for people and they were healed, and they would get out of hospital and go home. So I had confidence that
it's going to happen.
I know prayers work. So I prayed and I believed. And her breathing became even more worse at that time, the very last time we saw her.
Yeah.
And she was doing so bad, and I could tell, and I didn't want to tell my sisters, though they would tell me, what are you seeing? So, and every time we go there, I would massage her feet. So I touched her feet to massage them, and they were as cold as ice. So I was taken aback, and I covered her quickly, and I went outside because I was shocked, because I knew that was not a really, really good sign. So that's where my shock started. And we didn't go home. We hung around the hospital for 3 hours. I mean, the duration between now the lunchtime and the evening hours. So we stayed there, and while we are there sitting on the grass, we took some snacks and just waited. We had a call from the hospital, and as soon as I heard that call, I knew exactly what had happened. So my sister rose and ran. They literally ran, and I was in so much shock that I couldn't move. I couldn't stand. They left me sitting there, and I could see them running, and I'm immobile. I tried I couldn't take any action. I think it was shock. I was so shocked. I just sat there. So when they ran, one of them realized I didn't run with them, so came back for me. So when we got there, we just found them there. They were waiting for us, and they tell us, you just go and say your goodbyes. This has happened. And we are thinking she's sleeping. The slaps we give that woman. We were trying to get up. We couldn't. We thought, no, they must have made a mistake. We were just here, and now she's right there in front of you, and it's so hard to take it in. You can't just take it in. We tried to revive her ourselves because we thought that doctors had failed. So one of my sisters was shocked so much when I tried to revive her, she fainted. So she's fainting. So I'm telling the other sister, you work on that one, while I work on this one. So and I'm calling her, I'm sitting her down, and apparently we were all her siblings, all of us, because we were only 5. So the 3 sisters and 1 brother, we were the people who were called, because we were the 4 of us waiting to go back in. So she's surrounded by her siblings. We were only siblings, and my brother-in-law. So all her brothers and sisters are there. So and I'm trying to revive her, trying to sit her down. My brother couldn't do anything. He was just standing there, and I have never experienced such shock in my life. It was like a bad dream. And I just wanted to wake up.
Yeah, that's true.
So that image stuck with us for the longest time. You know, you just look back and all you can see is her lying there and looking like she's sleeping, and you would think, no, it can't be over. You know, they tried to get her out of that room, and we couldn't leave her. I was convinced I could pray and she would be revived. So I tried prayers. I tried anything that
You've talked about shock, and that's one of the things that we've experienced. You've talked about after the shock, now comes the anger. What's the next step?
Yeah, sorry, I mentioned to say also, anger is with denial. You hear us saying that when they looked, she didn't believe that really she has died. And that is why in some instances when you go to the hospitals and they say somebody has died, you find them, they don't want to release the body. They want just to hold it because there is that denial that people experience that this person cannot die.
True.
It is not real.
Until you see it for yourself.
Until you see it for, even not at that time, until that day when you put that person in the grave.
True, yeah.
All this time there is that anyway. This is almost driving us to the next step. So after that, the second step of anger and denial, where people even are beaten, the professionals are beaten by the relatives sometimes because they think they are given the wrong injection.
True.
And some, that is the time people get angry with even their close members. You need to do this, you need to do this, and all that.
You know, all I could say about grief, and since I've gone through it, it's just time heals all wounds.
Yeah.
That was there was nothing someone could tell me that could replace that. It was just the time that every single day you keep going through it, and eventually you won't feel as bad as you felt during that time.
Yeah, because even if you are to give birth to another child, this child is different from the other one. That one was unique to you, and this child is unique. So you can give birth to another child, but you cannot give birth to the one who has passed on. So they are difficult ones that that people express, but you accept it because that is the only way that we have.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, and people also get even angry with God. At that time you cannot think of how is God, who is so good, who has created us. This person, the sister was depending on and all that, and how can you take this person? So people even get really angry with God, and they go through spiritual crisis and all that. So after that,
there's shock. There's
anger and denial. Yes.
Spiritual crisis.
And spiritual crisis. Yeah, true.
Because although I'm also talking as from counseling perspective, I'm also a human being.
True.
And I'm not saying that I've not experienced losses, but I'm only just talking about this as from counseling perspective.
True.
Yeah, people can spiritualize in a very different angles, and they want to offer you answers like saying maybe this one was bewitched.
True.
This one,
especially in our African culture, we have that. Oh, Nikurogwa,
tafuta.
Or maybe sometimes it can be true, but what do you do?
There was a time in my family, somebody called me and said, you know, we have to go to somebody to get to know waters, and this is somebody who has experienced an accident, and people always find a solution. That is the human nature and behavior and the thinking. Yeah. So after that second step, you see our body, the way we are created, we are created to move on. So even at the experience of this overwhelming event, the body does not stay there for a long time. It is still moving with the hours and with the days. So the third stage that comes is bargaining, because now this Maggie or you or I, we have the shock was there, but now it is like the emotions are coming down and the reality is almost setting in, and the realization that it is true the person has died. We have got angry, we have done all those kind of things, emotional experiences. Then we start to begin. Yes, it has happened, but then God, those who are in believing God, would have done something, or please resurrect the person who has already died. After bargaining and all that, we go to number 4, which is now we have bargained, and nothing seems to be coming the way really we want. So the body moves to a kind of frustration, desperate, and it is like feeling that like striking a balance. I want to accept the loss has taken place, but I'm not ready to. So that the desperation has a lot of manifestation in it. It can be protest, like even when the country lost the election in this country, it is just the same kind of loss. Fighting, protest, anger, revenge, damage, and all that. So on that, people don't go the same route or the same way. People are different. So it can also be a kind of depression. or a kind of low mood, detach from the world, detach from yourself, detach from others.
True. Maggie, did you get that depression part now?
Yeah, first I was so angry with God. When she mentioned that one, I really identify with it. I was so angry with God because I was asking God, you took our mom. Our mom had passed away years back. We were so young. Actually, the sister who follows me had not even started school. So I was feeling like God he just does not want us to be happy, you know. You don't take our mom and then take the next mom figure we have.
What is number 5?
Now number 5, after what she's talking about or what she has experienced, even the people forcing her to move to the next stage, because the outside people themselves, they are uncomfortable with how she is, so they would like to hurry up the process.
Yes.
Because this is what they are comfortable on, and they will tell her, you know, you are a Christian.
Yes.
Or you are mature, you know, you are professional. During this depression episode, there are things that you really don't know, even you are not sure what you're experiencing yourself and what other people are telling you. So even you want to come out of that, but you don't do the best way possible. If you are not in touch with the counselors. And especially people are driving to spiritualize the whole matter, because you're a human being. And a human being, you cannot drive yourself the way you are feeling. And even if I'm a professional counselor myself, I cannot tell you that I understand Christine, what you're experiencing. Or Maggie, I can understand what you are experiencing. I cannot understand.
Maggie, what's the last parting word that you can tell the viewers out there?
The last parting word I can say is that in the beginning it looks so hard, but with time God heals. And like you had said before, just take your time, don't rush it. It's not abnormal. It's okay to cry. It's okay to feel bad. It's okay to be overwhelmed, but have the hope that tomorrow will be better, and it actually will be.
Yeah, that's nice. So for Margaret, they say that time heals all wounds, and we should take one day at a time. For today, we are celebrating with Margaret and giving her a dose of some wake up and makeup magic.
Today I just had an amazing day. The Wake Up and Makeup show people and the host and the crew, just amazing people throughout the day, and I am feeling encouraged, I am feeling uplifted. I loved speaking to the counselor, and the story session was really encouraging for me as a person, and the things the counselor spoke about, I really resonate with them, and I'm grateful that I came to this show because I already feel better. I'm looking forward to total healing and to total overcoming, and I can say that today I am not leaving this place the same way I came. I just feel so uplifted and so encouraged and so different, and for sure it's been an amazing experience. The day started so well, and the skiing was amazing. It looked like a bit of a challenge and quite difficult, and indeed it was a challenge, but it was so much fun. I enjoyed the challenge, and we made it through, and eventually when we went to the spa, the relaxation and everything, it just toned everything down. And
well, all's well that ends well. Ladies, thank you so much for coming. I have had an amazing time with you, and I've really been inspired by your story, and I hope that the viewers out there have also seen that they can talk to someone when they're going through something. Yeah, that's something that's going to help you, because as you can see, the ladies are looking radiant, and thanks to just letting go and sharing your story. Well, I think we're going to go for like a ladies' night today, right? Yes. We can't dress up like this and not go anywhere. So you can call your partners and tell them that you'll be running late today, right? Good. Until next time, thank you for watching Wake Up and Makeup. You guys, you can wave at them.